Professor Choi, the truth is even one of the people. We had you, Henry Boy. I know. She's playing still. It's all right. We like 324. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Actually, all right, it's free to go. You like to start on time, but I think we're still waiting on some people. Oh, Your presentation is switch over. Will be little windows, right? And your presentation will be larger, if I'm understanding it correctly.
Be close to the computer. They can change the.
Well, I can either do it for you. I can click for you if you want. It doesn't matter to me. I'm happy to be a clicker if you want me to be. So, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God! Hello.
Well, it doesn't, I mean, as long as they can see it, right, is the most important thing for my stuff. Now, when they're going, they may want it to be highlighted, but for my stuff, it's just kind of general stuff. So I'll use your best judgment, because you can share for me, right? You cannot. Okay. So I should share it at what point? Don't share. So should I share now, do you think? I know it's what you're just asking me, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you feel that we have,
Mm-hmm.
share.
Right. You might have to correct me, but I think I got it. Excellent.
But if anything, I this week, but I would hold them to it. It's the first experience, not important.
Everybody?
Do interview with me too.
You're gonna wing it. You're gonna wing it. I just need to do this with my class.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm just gonna record B-roll and stuff like that, and then you just.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Excited.
We can do it YouTube.
Yeah. You have your hair controlled today.
Yeah. Little things again.
So it's gonna be yes.
Yeah.
How is that the mustache?
Oh, it's mustache.
Oh, this is bad.
Oh, mustache. But the hair.
I'm just joking.
Well, it's very often.
I'll give you a quick second.
Stickers.
Stickers.
Or letter too.
Litter stickers.
Yeah, letter stickers.
I love it.
Oh, okay. But I did not. Oh, no. Okay. Okay.
Whatever. I mean, you know, a lot of.
Yes, yes, yes.
As far as I know.
He's a D, he's a great professor. She's, so everyone loves her. I don't remember. Yes, yes, this is, even though I had the two degree already. I have my master's from the beginning, but I live in US and I wanted to generate. So this is my third degree. And then I'm going, I'm going to be in the J school. I'm gonna say all of that. Yeah.
All right. All right, I suppose we should get started. Some people may still be coming in, but you know, we have schedule. Welcome and thank you for attending our journalism event today. My name is Professor Eric Luther, and I'm currently the curriculum chair for journalism here at WCC. And we're excited to have two Pulitzer Center journalists with us today that we're going to get to know. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We have Asia Alexander and Tsisnami Sakvarlishvili, who thankfully lets me call her Sissy. So Sissy's here as well. So we're going to hear both from both of them about their work, as well as their experiences as Pulitzer Center Student Reporting Fellows. And speaking of that, we're also going to share how you can apply for this year's Carol Smith Passariello Pulitzer Center Student Reporting Fellowship. More details on that to come. So first, I will introduce Asia. All right, so Asia Alexander is a journalist and communications specialist with a strong background in storytelling, media strategy, and public relations. She recently graduated from Howard University with a bachelor's degree in journalism and a minor in political science. She's worked with industry leaders, including the U.S. Senate, Forbes, NASA, General Motors, and United Talent Agency, gaining experience across journalism, corporate communications, and media strategy. And so her work spans covering breaking business news, crafting compelling narratives, and managing communications for high-profile clients, including NFL players. So if you grab her after the thing, she might tell you some tea, I don't know. She currently works as a reporter at Forbes, where she covers wealth, billionaires, and the financial forces shaping economic opportunity, with a focus on how these systems impact underrepresented communities. And she told me on the way in she had to stop 5 times to do some reporting on Kanye West and his ongoing troubles, I suppose. All right, so welcome, Asia. You want to do it from there? You want to do it from there, or you want to come up here? It's up to you.
Kind of like untraditional with these types of things. So if you guys like come back to me, it'll make me, a little less nervous. My name is H. Alexander. Like you said, I just graduated from Howard University, the real HU, DC. I was a Pulitzer Fellow senior year of high school, turning my project for my senior capstone. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. Y'all know about, I'm pretty sure y'all know about. Yeah, it's really bad. It's so confusing. But I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. Grew up there, small town compared to DC. Yeah, probably here. Honestly, when I was driving, I was like, this kind of reminds me of home. So it's a little like cool like this. Very big, Latino population, not a lot of minority programs where I grew up. So that's kind of how I got the inspiration. Thank you. Super fancy.
By our youngest today. So we need magnification. Come on, guys, have a seat. Happy to see you.
Come on, guys, keep moving.
Hey y'all, what's up?
It's only been like a month. Once we start,
Okay, period.
since we got from Lake.
Okay. Hey y'all, what's up? My name's Asia. I graduated from Howard, the real HU in DC. I was just telling them I was from Tallahassee, Florida, kind of like an area like this. Predominantly white, not really any minority things going on. I grew up around FAMU and Florida State. So unless you were on the campus, my parents were professors, so I stayed on FAMU's campus, but unless you were on the campus, you really didn't have opportunity to learn about marginalized communities, which is why I decided to report on this.
Being in DC last year was a really interesting time. Going to Howard last year was a really interesting time because of the presidential election. Kamala Harris, who is alumni of Howard University, practiced speeches on our campus. We saw her every day. We lived the presidential election, you know? And so we understood the effects it would have not only on us, but the future kids like you guys who are getting ready to graduate and people that are up under you. And I just remember how a lot of news organizations were reporting on education, but I've always felt like they were reporting on education as if what's happening now is new. And for some people, it is not new. And for me, growing up in Tallahassee, Florida, this is not a new reality for me. So I felt like it was important to pitch this project on teachers, well, Black teachers in Mississippi, and their mental health post-Trump. Y'all got that? Y'all understand that? I was talking too much. Y'all can tell me. Okay, next thing, yeah. Okay, so my story really focused on the dismantle structure of the Department of Education. As we all know, he's done it. After I posted this story, maybe like a month later, he dismantled the Department of Education. So what I predicted in my story actually ended up happening. When you ban a Department of Education, you take federal control and give it to the states. For Mississippi, what I found was they weren't getting money from their state anyway. Their state was only giving money to charter schools and private schools because they believe in what they call private school academies or segregation academies, as you would believe. So what was happening on the national level didn't really affect them because they were in so much poverty already. They didn't like it didn't affect them. You know, the rest of the country was in shock, but to them, it's like, you know, oh well, like we're not getting funding anyway. Our schools aren't being funded. Our kids don't have fresh clothes, fresh food. So like, what are we supposed to do about it? And so my story really explored like the mental health of these teachers navigating the new reality on top of the disparities that they were already facing. Oops, sorry. This is a picture of slaves in cotton fields in the Mississippi Delta, which is the poorest zip code in the country. When I went there, the kids did not have running water. They do not have Wi-Fi. Some of the kids showed up to school in the same clothes. You would go here and you would see like dirt roads, like just really rural. Like you would not think somewhere in the United States would be living like this, but that is how these kids are. And it's all because of slavery. Next slide. So basically this slide is just talking about how Mississippi, especially the Mississippi Delta, really relied on the labor of cotton, like creating cotton. So when slavery was abolished and, you know, like slave masters couldn't have their cotton warehouses for the slaves to be and all that kind of stuff, it really plummeted the economic prosperity of Mississippi's economy. And it has yet to recover. It has not recovered since. And so next slide, I think, yeah. I think it is. Okay, not yet. But so in a couple of slides, you'll see that a lot of people in Mississippi don't have education. Their parents don't go to school, you know. Oh wait, no, go back.
No one?
Go back. Yep, we can stay here. They don't have education. Their parents don't make a lot of money. Minimum wage there is so low. And I remember when I was reporting on the story, a lot of their kids aren't going to college because they're not used to having money. So now that Amazon and all those big companies are moving into the area, they're like, oh, I'm going to go work at the factory instead of going to get an education because they're just like not used to it. And so that's what you're kind of dealing with in the premise of my story. Majority of my story is in the Mississippi Delta and the rest is in Jackson, Mississippi, which is like, you know, the hub of Mississippi. So it's a little bit more like city-like, but there are still disparities there too. Anybody know what Brown versus the Board of Education is? Everybody know what that is, right? Everybody know what that is. Okay, next slide. So that happened in 1954. Can anybody guess when the last school in Mississippi was desegregated? No. 2017. That's yeah. I went to this district and it was the saddest thing I have ever experienced. I found out by, being a reporter, going through church group chats on Facebook and asking them questions about their members. And they pointed me to this principal who came in to do the restructuring of the new school. It was Cleveland High School was the white side and East Side High School was the black side. They were within a mile of each other. And the white students who lived, like, I think they separated by, school zoning. So the white students went there and then the black students went to East Side High School. They just consolidated the school in 2017. And the only reason why it was consolidated is because of the Civil Rights Department, which now under the Department of Education, we no longer have because Trump got rid of a lot of the positions. So if that was, if the Department of Education was dismantled in 2017, they would probably still be segregated. Next slide. My 3 counties are Natchez, Jackson, and the Mississippi Delta. I'll let you guys read it for yourselves, but primarily black. I think when a lot of people think of Mississippi, they think white on black, but it's really black on black. And the problem is funding. So the state is not giving the schools or the counties the necessary funding to make sure that their students have what they need to be successful. So I wanted to give you guys some stats on kind of like the poverty level of what we're dealing with here. Okay, so these are my sources. I'm gonna introduce you to Erica Jones. She is the policy lady in Mississippi who advocates for Title I schools. She is a member of Delta Sigma Theta. She went to Jackson State University. She's an HBCU alum. And she basically told me about her teaching experience, going through the Mississippi school system, how a lot of the time she was paying rent for her students so that they'll have somewhere to stay. She was bringing them, breakfast, lunch, dinner, so the children would have something to eat. She was driving them home, to make sure that they weren't walking on the side of the roads because sometimes in Mississippi, they don't have sidewalks. So that's Erica Jones. Next slide. This is Montrell Allen. He just graduated probably like 3 years ago. He's a young teacher. He's the only black male teacher in his school, in a predominantly black school in Natchez, Mississippi, which is close to the Louisiana border. And he talked to me about his experiences with the school not providing adequate resources for testing. So like state testing for the students, and also the pay that the teachers have when they have to deal with, they don't have budgets to go buy classroom supplies, like other states do. He has to buy it out of his pocket, but doesn't have the salary to do so. So post my story, he actually transferred to Louisiana. So he drives an hour and a half every day to go to work because the pay is better on the other side of the bridge. Next slide. My third source is anonymous. She did not want to be found. She called me at 12 a.m. and told me she was having a stroke due to the pressures that were going on in her school. She was an elementary school teacher, and she just didn't want to be named because she felt like if she moved to another district, it would just ruin her chances of getting employment. But because her students were just in so much poverty, gang violence, all these things of above, and she was there to be, their caregiver, their mother when they're at school, it just crashed her. And she called me in like a panic attack. It was kind of crazy. I've never experienced anything like that. So that was my third source. Next slide. I'm pretty sure y'all gonna have questions later. So follow me on socials. That's my LinkedIn, my Instagram, and my email. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. We're gonna have a Q&A section after we have presentations from both of them. We're gonna have a Q&A. So if you have any questions, hang on to that. We're gonna bring up our next speaker. Okay. All right. So our next speaker is Sissy, as I said before. She's a Georgian American journalist, writer, and activist whose work amplifies the voices of marginalized communities and champions freedom and democracy. She was born in Tbilisi, Okay, Tbilisi. During the Soviet era, she endured political upheaval in Russia's 2008 invasion of Georgia, which displaced her family before pursuing her passion for education and storytelling. After earning her bachelor's degree in history from the State University there and a master's degree in political science from the University of Florence, she moved to the U.S. in 2013 to follow her dream of becoming a journalist. Sissy has reported on politics, culture, and the Georgian diaspora in New York, interviewing figures such as former Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili and NBA star Zaza Pachulia. Is that right? Close enough. She's the author of Diary of a Redheaded Girl, a 2023 bestseller in Georgia, and the recipient of the Leader Woman of Georgia Award. She's recently finished and published her first English language book. Sissy aspires to continue her studies at Columbia Journalism School and build a career in international journalism and literature. And last but not least, Sissy is WCC's Carol Smith Pasriello Pulitzer Center Student Reporting Fellow for 2025. Welcome, Sissy.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. So every time I introduce myself, when I meet new person in the US, I say my name, Tsisnami, Sissy, Sakvarlishvili, and then they ask me a question, where are you from? And I say, Georgia. And they look me like that, say, well, you don't have a Southern accent. So they think the state of Georgia. So, and then I say, no, I'm from the country of Georgia. And then say, Russia. And I get really angry, like, no, Georgia is not a Russia. So did you guys know where is Georgia? Did you know there was a small country, independent country? So, okay, I'm gonna present, this is my country, Georgia. It's not Russia. So from the north, we have Russia, we have Azerbaijan, Turkey, Black Sea, Azerbaijan, and Armenia. And we have Professor Kalfayan from Armenia. And we have Azerbaijan. So this is Georgia, and you can see it's part of the Eastern Europe. It's between Asia and Europe. And so then I move on, like, I want to introduce new people at my country. And I tell them, like, did you guys ever read or understood, like, Euripides Medea, the book? You got it? Oh, good. So you know that. And what about, did you hear, like it's a mythology, Greek mythology, Golden Fleece story? Yeah, good. And so there is Medea. She was Georgian. So in the ancient era, we had the Colchi kingdom, and she was a princess there. So the story is like when a Greek guy, Jason, comes to my country because wants to take the golden fleece from us. They falling in love. And then she became the first immigrant. So, and if you don't know that, have you ever heard about Maria Callas? She was an opera singer. So she played Medea. And it's a beautiful opera. You should, Google and see it. It's amazing. So I start from Medea, introducing my country. And then I move on. So you guys know about the Soviet Union when 14 countries were together? So one of the countries was Georgia. Have you ever heard name Joseph and Stalin? Yes. So did you know that he was a Georgian? No. Yes? Good. Because most of the Americans think he was a Russian, but he was a Georgian. He was born in Gori, a little town in Georgia. But we are not proud of him. He's very popular internationally, but for me, he's just like a Hitler. Okay, then I move on. Another very famous person that maybe Americans can know, it's a Mikhail Saakashvili. He was the third president of Georgia, and he did a Rose Revolution in my country when I was high school student. And guess what? I was always on the first line of the revolution. And I'm very proud of that. And I always introduce these people before I introduce my work. So 2008, Russia invaded my country, Georgia. Did you know about that? Well, when Russia invaded Ukraine, everybody knew, right? Because of social media, and we all knew. But in 2008, my country didn't get a lot of attention and help. So this is personal story because my house where I grew up when I was a child is occupied by Russians and I can't go there. So that's how and why I left my country. Honestly, I never wanted to leave my country. I always wanted to get education there and become a politician and live there. But life didn't give me other choice. So I left my country and I went to Italy, and I was only one who got the visa. Rest of my family was not able to leave the country. So imagine, we lost everything. I'm only 21 years old, young girl, and I'm going in a different country where I don't know any language. Only word I know, it was a ciao. Everybody knows that. And I loved Dante Alighieri. You guys know who's Dante Alighieri? It's a great book, Divine Comedy. I would like you read. You learn a lot of things from this presentation. So write down. You're gonna learn a lot of things if you read this book. So I went to Italy and I started working as a nanny, because when you go in a new country and you look the job market, you don't find anything, amazing. But somehow I managed to go to the University of Florence and get my master's degree in political science. I was working so hard to take care of the rest of my family in Georgia, sending any money I used to make to support my family. And plus, I graduated, and it was a big deal for me because I love education. Education and writing helped me to go through in difficult times in my life. So this is a moment when I'm really proud of myself. So I managed to get another degree. So let's move on. And then, so how I became a journalist. Oh, thank you so much. So you guys must have Facebook, Instagram, right? So how I became as a writer and journalist. So on Facebook, I have like 75,000 followers. I'm very popular in my country. And I used to write a huge posts about politics, what's going on in Georgia or international politics. And the Georgia news agency, Goga TV and Editor G, they were seeing my posts and they were taking my posts and making as a news. And they loved my writing and they offered me a job. They said, could you write for us? And I said, of course, yes. And then I was only one Georgian journalist who covered 2016 election from US. So I did the live from US. And then because I'm not only one here, but all the Georgian TVs, if something happening here, they ask me to cover the stories. That's what I'm doing. And that's how I became a storyteller. And guess what? One day, so Georgian TV, Goga TV tells me there is a very famous Georgian basketball player. He used to play in the Golden State Warriors, Zaza Pachulia. Do you guys know him? Well, they tell me, you gotta go to cover this story. And I said, what? I'm not a sport journalist. I don't know anything about sport. Yeah, I love basketball, but I don't know anything. So my beat as a reporter is politics. And they say, oh, you gotta be fine. It's gonna be great. And then I end up with, am I tall, right? And I end up with a giant man. And I'm walking around them and, oh my God, I'm saying to myself, am I here? This is really happening? Oh my God. And I met other players also, not only Zaza Pachulia, Kevin Durant. I don't even remember their names, but they are so amazing. And he was this is a coach of the Golden State Warriors. He was super nice. They have been in Georgia because of Zaza, and they loved me there. I was VIP TV journalist there because they knew I was from Georgia. So I even was allowed to go to the locker room. It was an amazing experience. So let's move on the next. Okay, 2023, I returned in my country. So after Italy, I came to the United States, and I always wanted to get another education. That's why I was in the WCC as a journalism major here, and I'm very happy to be here because I start writing in English because of this college, and I'm so grateful of you and everybody. Thank you so much. So 2023, this is a situation in my country. I want you guys know where we're going through. You see these barbed wires? This is my neighbor, Grandma Valia, who lived in that house, which is occupied by Russia. And the rest of her family lives in Tbilisi, other side that we control the territory. But we do not control this territory. So I was there interviewing her and just wrote the story about her, in Georgian magazine. It was very simple. But somehow our picture ended up first in the Kiev Independent, so they took from the social media, and the BBC also. This is a very sad story because she didn't want to leave her house. She loved her house. Her grandchildren, when they go to visit her, they have to stand between the barbed wires and say hello like this. This is the occupied territory. This is what's going on still in my country. 20% of our territory is occupied by Russia, and I'm fighting about this occupation. So it's very sad because every time I go there, I visit her, and I'm not allowed to go to visit my grandparents' cemetery, to go my house, or, it's very sad. Okay, another thing I do, I'm a political activist. I end up also in the New York Times just a year ago. Really, my picture was on the New York Times. I'll show you later. But this is me talking in front of the Georgian parliament, almost 500,000 people, half of Georgians, because I promote my country's democracy and freedom. Even though we are an independent country right now, we still are fighting for our freedom. And it was a 2024, May and June, 2 months I was back there, and I was leading this protest against this pro-Russian government that we have right now in Georgia. We can play a little bit, that you just got idea like who I am and what I'm doing when I'm back in my country. I'm speaking in Georgian, you can understand, but you can feel the energy. So let's play. Okay, we can start. Yeah, okay, so it's just if you move a little bit, they can see there are people around, like just so many people. Here, like a little bit if you move. I just want to show the people around me.
How far do you want?
Just, okay, it doesn't matter. All right, let's move the next slide. It's okay. Well, you just got the idea, so. Okay, here we go, there we go. This is my country, Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia. We are in front of the Georgian parliament. Thank you, Professor Luther. So let's move the next one. And I am so grateful, really, because I had a chance to go to the Washington, D.C., the Washington weekend. It was amazing, guys. And please apply for this Pulitzer. This was an incredible experience for me. I wrote a story about the Georgian caregivers who are living in the United States. So let me tell you what's happening. Majority of my people come here in this country, and most of them are women. They leave their family, their children and husbands, and come here in this country to work so hard. One member of the family is out of the country to work hard, take care of the 7 or 6 members of families. This is our reality right now, because it's so hard. They have not seen their children for years, and they taking care of the other people's children, or they taking care of the elderly people, and they work 24/7. I'm sure if one of you have an elderly, in your house, grandparents. Do your grandparents have caregivers? Or have you ever heard somebody? So these women are working so hard, but guess what's happening? By the New York State law, when you work more than 40 hours a week, you should get paid overtime, okay? But this woman never gets paid overtime. They work 24/7. They're like a white slaves in 21st century. They can't go outside to just get the fresh air. They don't have any freedom. So, and I brought their story alive. And please, when you Google my name, like it's Tsisnami Sakvarlishvili, it comes right away. This article comes right away. And if you Google my name in Georgian alphabet, which we have a Georgian alphabet in my country, lot of information, you can find a lot of information. But in English alphabet, I'm still working, so you can't find a lot of information. But these articles are really amazing. When you're gonna read these articles, you're gonna start crying, because this is a story of the women who are fighting to be alive and help their families back in their countries. And nobody cares about them. Nobody pays them like overtime. And they, most of the time in the nighttime, they're working at nighttime also when sick old ladies or men, when they have dementia, you know, it's a really, really hard work. So with this story, I wanted to defend the people like them. And I want the people read and understand how hard work they are doing. And this is my Pulitzer reporting. So that's what I did. And I'm very happy that I made this happen. And this is thanks to the Professor Luther, because he encouraged me to apply. And I encourage all of you to do that. If something bothers you and you want to bring as a story, you're always going to find someone to interview. Just write, okay? And don't be afraid if you make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. We are humans. I make mistakes every day, but I'm not afraid, you know? Keep doing what you like to do. So, and every year, when 2008, Russia invaded Georgia, it was August 8. So every year I do in front of the United Nations, just a march with Ukrainian and Georgian people and do the protests and remind the world that my country is occupied. So this is kind of like my purpose of life. So because I want to go back one day, go back to my country and be able to go back to my house, you know? Imagine that one day you wake up and somebody comes and tells you, you have to leave your country, you have to leave your house, or I'm gonna kill you. What are you gonna do? This is a situation in my country. So what's the next? All right, I'm also very proud of my actually 3 books right now. This is the first book. Both are in Georgian language, but first book became so popular in my country because it's a story of the immigrant woman when comes in a new country and how I found a job and meet new people. I didn't know anybody, even in America, you know? And it was a very hard time, difficult times in my life. And I dedicate this book to my son. I have 18 years old son. I know you may not gonna believe that, but so we were separated 7 years because of the documentation problems. America makes everything so hard about, you know, being an immigrant is so hard, especially this administration makes more harder, you know, and then they don't understand if it was not us, who's gonna do the jobs like housekeeping, landscaping, nanny, caregiver, or like nurses, right? We work so hard, we pay our taxes. I was waiting my documents for 10 years. So I was able to work and stay in this country, but I was not able to go back to my country and visit my family for 7 years. So I dedicated this book to my son, and this book became the bestseller in Georgia. So I went all over Georgia, everywhere, also in Europe, where the Georgian communities live, and in America. And they gave me an award as a leader woman of the Georgia 2023 because of my political activism. This is I love cooking because I lived in Italy for years. I learned how to make homemade raviolis, pasta, tiramisu, and all kind of delicious stuff. So, and this book is the different countries' recipes because I was able to travel in Europe. And when I go on vacation, I don't go fancy hotels. I go to live in the families like a normal, regular people. And I learn from them how to make a breakfast, how to make lunch. And I also hear how their life is. You know, I went to Costa Rica like that, lived with the family. So that's how I made this book. And my third book, which just came, by the way, I'm not the self-published. I work with the published company called Intellecti in Georgia. You can find this, well, we posted on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. You can find it both. So reason I decided to write this book because I want Americans to know that Georgia is an independent country. So we are not Russia. And you will learn a lot of things. So how my country survived to become independent. And how was the living it during the Soviet and after the Soviet. So, and if you would like, you can get it. So that's my story. And I'm looking forward to continue writing a lot because I love writing. I already started working on my fourth book. And I hope one day I'm going to go to the Columbia J School because I love that school. Thank you so much.
I have no doubt that you're going to make it, Sissy. Pretty determined. All right. Well, now is actually a perfect time to talk about encouraging you all to apply for this year's Carol Smith Passariello's Pulitzer Center Student Reporting Fellowship. Each school year, at least one student from Westchester Community College gets a $4,000 budget. They get the once-in-a-lifetime experience to have an invaluable mentored experience as a reporter. This year, the Pulitzer Center is partnering with us to support reporting fellowships specifically focused on mental well-being in the United States. That's also what you all were working with, I believe. It's a really broad topic, and it's a really broad topic in the best possible way. It can be applied to any number of situations. So think about your passions, think about your interests. You see here, both of our fellows here found something that really spoke to them, and they wanted to tell other people what they heard. And that's what I encourage you to do. You want to let your mind go and consider what you would like to report on. The fellowships are open to every WCC student. You do not have to be a journalism or communications major to be selected. And in fact, several of our fellows were not communications or journalism majors. They were people with an interest and a desire and the ability to raise their hand and say, I want to do this, right? And they really got a great experience out of it. Again, we're doing specific on mental health. So try to think about how that's going to work with you or something you might come up with. Reporting fellows benefit from Pulitzer Center mentorship. So you get to network with them. You get to have journalism resources. Most importantly, they become part of a vibrant community. Articles, photo essays, video, audio, and interactives are produced by reporting fellows, depending on what the story needs and what you are well-versed in. And they're featured on the Pulitzer Center website and in multiple news outlets, such as the New York Times, Miami Herald, Politico, NPR, and The Guardian. So it's a terrific way to get some experience where you're not all on your own. You're going to have a lot of help and a lot of support. We're going to talk about that with them in a minute. So what better way to distinguish yourself than working with the Pulitzer Center? And again, this fellowship is open to every SUNY WC student. I can't say that enough. You don't have to be a journalism major to be selected. So for more information, I have some flyers back here on these tables here that you could pick up. It has scannable QR codes. If you could look at that, that would be terrific. You can always email me at ericluther@sunywcc.com, eric.luther, or talk to your professor, or you can find us, but don't wait too long because the application deadline is Sunday, April 26th. So please reach out if you need any help, if you want any input, if you want any sort of feedback, that would be great. So now, with this all in mind, we're going to switch our focus and talk to our speakers as Pulitzer Center student fellows. So if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you both a couple questions, and you can just answer in your own way. You can stay right there if you like, and then we'll take student questions. I think the number one question I think we'd all like to know is, what was your experience as a Pulitzer Center student fellow like? Asia, how would you describe it to someone who doesn't know much about it?
Yeah, I think the fellowship was a good opportunity for me to cover something that I was passionate about other than being at my internship. When I was a senior, I interned at the Boston Globe on the politics team, so I covered the Hill a lot. So I was talking to senators all day and like big policy changes, and like I had this weird niche with the young conservatives. So like I covered Charlie Kirk, you know.
Yeah.
I did. I covered Charlie Kirk, Turning Point, Trump, MAGA gear, all types of stuff. Like I was really
And
into
you're still
that.
a senior in high school at this
No,
point?
no, no, no.
Oh, this-
Wait, yes.
At this
I
point,
was-
you were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
in high.
That's-
I was.
that's
I
great.
was a senior in college. Did I say high school? Senior in
Oh,
college
so,
at
okay.
Howard.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I thought it was early to be. I was like, what? Okay.
And in the midst of my reporting and being on the Hill, I found a passion for the topic that I have now. And education has always been something I was passionate about. It was what I covered at my internship at Forbes when I was an intern. So I felt like the fellowship gave me a good opportunity to venture off because you don't always get to do that in national media. And it also gave me the opportunity to kind of cope with what I dealt with growing up, I
Mhm.
would say. And so it helped me introduce another lifestyle that other people may not be familiar with.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
You combine your own experience and your interest and the news
Yeah.
into some really important work. Sissy, what was your experience with the Pulitzer Center Fellowship like?
And it was wonderful 3 days because we came together, a huge conference. I was very excited because I think I was more just being excited, like excited. And also you learn a lot, how make a story, how write something that you care. So I wrote the article about people, caregivers who suffer depression, nostalgia, and you know, they need to take care of their mental health. And they're taking care of others, you know. And also, it opens the doors, you know, more networking and connection. Everywhere you go, in this country or everywhere in the world, it's all about who you know. So, and this is all about that, and you can meet a lot of people there, okay? And they can help you in the future. So then after this, I was a speaker at like 4 or 5 kind of conferences around.
Mhm.
I just went to the Maryland in the Writers Club. So I presented my book there. It opens a lot of doors. And it's really great. So don't be lazy. Go and apply. And you'll see good things gonna happen to you.
That's terrific. Asia, when you think back on your experience, what was the most challenging part of being a student fellow and sort of getting involved with the Pulitzer Center? Was there anything especially challenging for you?
I would say no. I thought it was a fairly easy application. Because like when you're passionate about something, you're just gonna write about it. Like, you know, you already have the answers. But I would say like just going through the fellowship and writing the story, I had a lot of challenging situations, particularly with some of my sources who were in government. And I remember the day that the story published, I got a call from an official in Mississippi telling me to take my story down. And
Oh, yeah?
I was like, no, like, who are you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a journalist, like, you can't listen to the public. Like, I'm not here to service you. I'm here to get information out. They didn't like what they said to me in the interview, which is everybody know you're supposed to ask. Can you record? Can I record you? Can I do this? This will be published, you know. This is not for background. This is like, you know, those type of terms. That was made clear during the interview. Like, I will be using your voice. May I record you? The person said yes. I used the quote. They were mad about it. And so they made like a big bit about it and went to the Pulitzer Center actually. And
And did they stand by you?
and we equally said like, there's nothing we can do about it. So I had different situations like that. Like I said before, I went through churches. When you're doing like reporting, you have to really dig into who your people are. I'm Black, you know, I know my aunties and uncles, you know, I know where they be at on Sundays. So I went to a couple churches and pastors who were able to, you know, like direct me in some paths. And a lot of the sources did not want to speak to me. You know, a couple of teachers spoke out about it before and had a lot of repercussions. And so that was a big thing. So I didn't find sources probably till the month I published.
Is that right?
Yeah, it took me a while to get them. And I understood as a Black woman, the repercussions that we would get speaking out against an administration like this. And so as a journalist, you know, you're supposed to get the information out, but also like you have a sense of humanity in you to kind of know like this is a hard topic. These people are risking like their jobs and their families and their livelihoods to talk to me. So let me be very like careful about this. So I think those were some of the challenges that I dealt with.
I'm so glad you had the support of the Pulitzer Center to help you through that, because it can be quite challenging, obviously, when someone calls you up and says, take that down.
Yeah, don't listen to them.
That's right.
You know, like give it to your editor. I get it all the time at Forbes, you know, like give it to your editor and like let them handle it. And sometimes you can just say no and put a period and that'd be it. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. Sissy, how would you answer that question? What was the most challenging part of you during the whole process of that being a student fellow?
I did article about the story, and I also made 3 minutes of video. So I interviewed people, like 3 Georgian caregivers. I went to the house where they taking care of the old people. And, you know, I did some shots, how they care about these old people. And everything was ready and great. So I sent to our editor. And then they called me and told me, please, I beg you to don't publish that video. I said, why? What are you talking about? I worked like weeks and weeks, you know, just bring the camera there and the microphones. And they were in the Greenwich, Connecticut. And that time I was in Amagansett in Long Island. So I drove like 3 hours to go there. But I respected them because I don't want they get in trouble because they were undocumented immigrants. So because it started about when Trump and I started to, you know, just deporting the people for no reason. They don't do anything bad. They're just working so hard. But then it was so hard for them. They said, we just don't want to, you know, be deported. And I respected their choice. I know that I agree with you, just don't listen. But it was about, you know, being deported. So, and the Pulitzer Center made the right decision. So they didn't publish the video, but it's really amazing video. Maybe one day I will be able to bring that on my social media. And so I did really great job. But I could not publish because respect them. So that was a challenge.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Because I said, oh God, this kind of brings me a lot of viewers and, you know, I care to like my work being seen, me as a person and as a journalist being seen and being heard. I'm fighting for that. Not only me, my country and everything. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't hurt someone. What about really somebody went there and they throw out from the country? No, that was a challenge.
Okay. I think we're curious about what advice would you give to a student who might be sitting out there thinking, wow, that sounds really great. What do I do next? What's your advice for somebody to get sort of, because you both were lucky and you had some experience before you took the fellowship. These fellowships are open to anybody with any level of experience. The most important thing is interest and ability, right? And ability to apply yourself. So Asia, what kind of advice would you give to a student who might be thinking about applying?
Yeah, I think that a lot of our peers didn't have experience going into the Pulitzer Center Fellowship. This was their experience. I would say that this is a fellowship that, like I said before, allows you to really expound on your ideas and what you're curious about. And so like if you're scared about applying, listen, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. The fellowship is a great opportunity. Like it's a great opportunity to get your foot in the door. You know, like it's very rare that organization just gives you a way in. You get what I'm saying? Like, of course you have to get in, but like the people that the fellows meet, it's very rare that you get face-to-face time with these people while also having the Pulitzer Center name behind your name. And so if you aspire to be in national media, please apply. You know, you want to have something that's other than like your college newspaper, which also helps, but like you want to have something that when a editor sees your resume, they're like, oh, Pulitzer Center, I can think of this, I can see this. So that would be my advice.
That's great advice. One of the things I tell my students all the time is, as important as grades are, it's really going to distinguish you if you leave college or leave school with something more than a grade. Yeah. And if you have a Pulitzer Center story in your back pocket, that's going to set you apart already. Not to mention this is a great experience, right? Sort of getting your feet wet. Sissy, what would you say? What advice would you give to someone who might be thinking about doing this?
Don't be afraid, because sometimes you say, oh, I'm not a writer, I'm not a journalist, I don't know how to write the story. Come on, it's 21st century, okay? You can use even AI can help you to just give you the structure of the story. How can you write the hard news article or interviewing people? So it's very easy, okay? Apply, because it will give you a beautiful experience in your life. So when I was in Washington, D.C., I created the WhatsApp group for all of the Pulitzer fellows. So, and I'm still in touch with them. I said, hey, what's up? What's new in your lives? And guess what? We were how many? 25 people or more, like 35. And these people were from all over of America. So I have friends everywhere, really. And I still in touch with them. If I do something like I publish a book, I post there in that group, say, hey, I'm doing this. What's up? What are you doing? So it's great connection. Now I'm going in May 18, I'm going in California, one of the community colleges, as a speaker. I'm like, come on, have you ever been in California? And me, especially, I'm from another country, like Georgia, right? Nobody even knows about my country, but now I'm going everywhere in America. So please, I recommend you to apply, all right? It takes only how many hours? Not even 2 hours. Just like think about it. What do you want to do? It's about the mental health. We all suffer mental health, okay? I suffer post-traumatic stress disorder, so because of war and because of my past. We all have so much going on in our lives. You can even interview your own classmates, like, at WCC and say, I'm sure everyone suffers something, okay? Because mental health is very important. So, and be open, speak more, talk about it. When you have a problem, don't sit down, be there on your own. Speak up, okay? I know people don't like when you complain, but don't care. Just do what you think is right. They're not gonna like you, it's their problem because they're losing you, okay? So apply and you're gonna have a great experience. 3 days in the Washington, D.C., it's all paid. You're gonna go in a fancy hotel, everything is paid, lunch, dinner, and after dinner and conference, we went to the have fun, play like, what we played? Like,
I didn't go.
everything, like, and you have some drinks and you connect. I'm friends with all of the Pulitzer people who work there, like, so just do it. Don't wait and do it.
Terrific advice. Thank you guys so much.
So
We'll open it up to the audience. We also are streaming live to Yonkers, and I think they can ask questions. Well, Sal can help us with that. Would anybody like to ask Asia or Sissy something about their work or about the Pulitzer Center Student Fellowship? Let me come back there. Please tell us your name and who you are.
Hi, my name is Travis, and I wanted to ask Asia, you spoke about Mississippi specifically and how you worked with a lot of Black teachers and so on. I wanted to ask if you feel that education is being devalued, especially with Black youth, especially in those areas that seem to lack the funding for proper education.
Great question. To people that aren't Black, yes. But to Black people, I mean, going to I went to Florida State University schools. So I'm a product of a charter school. I tell people that all the time. Like, I didn't go to Title I. I went to Title I 5th grade, and it was the best school I have ever been to. And it was all Black teachers. I learned the most at that school. I did a study with the Dean of Public Policy at American. When I was writing this story, I wanted to pick his brain about it. And he did a study about how Black children tend to respond better to Black teachers because the Black teachers have higher expectations of those Black children. So if you have, like a teacher that really don't care about how you succeed or don't really see the outcomes, like a whole bunch of my teachers did not think I would get into Howard University. I don't know why they thought that, because like I'm that girl. But like a lot of my white teachers did not think I was going to make it this far. When I tell them that I interned in NASA or worked at Forbes, it's just like a shock to them. I don't know what it is. It's a Southern thing that Black people aren't just supposed to be on this level, and that is not true. And so I think that Black education is so important. And I think that when you talk to a Black student like me, who had a Black male teacher who taught her everything she know, the Negro National Anthem, like front to back, I see it so important, and I think it's something that we value, but it may not be valued on the other side, if that makes sense. Did I answer your question? Okay, cool. It's nice to meet you.
Of course.
I'm sorry, can I just ask one more? Sorry. Sissy, you spoke about a lot of immigrants, especially women coming to this country and working in the healthcare field. I find that close too because I'm an immigrant and a lot of the women in my family work as home healthcare aides, nurses, doctors, so on. And I wanted to speak to you about, especially you spoke about ICE also. Do you think that the people coming here are under so much pressure, especially because of ICE, that maybe their employers won't pay them their respective money that they should be earning?
Yes, this is a problem. So well, some people come here with visa, like, but some people came from the Mexico and they break the law, okay? So I can't talk about that, but no, nobody wants to leave their countries, honestly, guys. They come here, this country, because they think they're gonna find a better future because they don't want to die. They don't want to just suffer there in their countries because war pushed me to come here and be an immigrant, okay? And then they come to looking for better opportunities. And I think America has been built by immigrants. So this country, what they have to do, they have to give a chance to everybody. Everybody deserves to have a document here. And they're working. They're not criminals, okay? They're working so hard. And we need these people. America needs those caregivers, home health aides and nannies and housekeepers. We need these people here. So why don't you government, when you are a government or president, make a policy to give these people documents and stay here as illegal? Because they have taxi IDs and they pay taxes, okay? But they don't have green cards. And they all want to have a green card. They're trying so hard. But immigration in this country is like a jail. Immigration is so hard. Like, for me, it was so hard to get the document. Come on, imagine that you have a son and you can't see 7 years, people, not 7 months or 7 days. I was not able to see my own child for 7 years. You know how much I suffered? I cried every single night. So, and this affected me and affected my mental health. And I could not go back because I was working, helping my family, taking care of the 7 members of my family. So these people are working hard. Why don't we open the hearts for them? And if you have neighbor who's an immigrant here in this country, please be nice to them. They don't have nobody here. I don't have my mom here, my family, my relatives, my childhood friends. I build everything here slowly, slowly. And it's still hard for me. So be kind to each other because we're all gonna die. So we're not gonna bring, exactly. We're not gonna bring
Pretty much, yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
to each other.
Thank you both for sharing your passions and your stories. They're very inspirational.
Thank you. Exactly. Trump's gonna die too.
Hi, my name is Mikkel. I'm a communication major here at WCC. My first question is for Sissy. I just wanted to start off by saying I'm sorry for what you had to go through. You went through a lot, and honestly, it's really like inspiring to see how you are and like where you came from. My question to you is, what message do you have for like people that struggle with obviously coming to this country looking for a better future and a better career path, but doesn't really know where to start? How would you inspire them to really push towards that?
Well, start where you live. Start with the local papers, open the local paper and find a job. There's the job openings, and that's how I started. So when you look at the job openings, find a job and start working hard. And that when you're working hard, good things gonna happen to you. So you will find a way. And I believe that. I think like whole universe and God and everything and everybody will help you. So now I'm American citizen, so I have a double citizenship, and I'm really working hard also, like get another education, have a great job, and so it's gonna happen. And step by step, keep working, and believe yourself. So and be strong. So
Right.
not emotional like me, because sometimes my emotions puts me down.
I think
Before everyone goes, please, I would like to have a one selfie with entire people here, please, okay? Or one group picture, so don't leave yet. Oh, hi.
You want to ask anything else or you
want to ask anything?
yeah.
Any other questions? I think we have time on 10, we have 15 minutes, right? Or,
Let me work.
okay.
Hi, sorry. My next question is for you, Asia. Mississippi is obviously one of your greatest works. Are you looking to uncover like any more areas that are in poverty or still living like they were 80, 90 years ago?
Current day, I cover billionaires. So it's
Woo!
yeah, it's the total opposite of what I report on. But hopefully in the future, when I have time, I'll have the opportunity to talk a little bit more about like what's going on, you know, in the education landscape. It just so happened that, you know, I was given this opportunity my senior year and it was covering something adjacent to the topic that I got to write this story.
Thank you so much.
As a journalism professor, I just had to ask real quick, how do you interview someone who's totally different than you? I would know the first thing to say maybe to a tech bro, right? Like, what do you say to a billionaire?
Are they totally different then?
That's the question. That's the answer, right?
You know, I think I talk to billionaires very frequently, and I tend to connect with them on a very personal level very often. Particularly, I cover Black billionaires and I uncover Black billionaires. So my job every day is to find Black billionaires, Black wealth. A lot of people don't think that we can achieve that level, and we can. I found 5, including Dr. Dre.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's
They're just people.
yeah, they're just normal people. You know, you find stuff to bond over, and a lot of the Black billionaires are self-made. And so they didn't come from
No
like
generational wealth.
rich parents, and we have similar backgrounds. You just made it successful, but like during the interviews, I'm like, well, how did you do it? Because I need to do it too.
I think it's just, you both are such great examples of just being interested in people's humanity and finding that as your way in. And so that's your biggest strength, I think, you know. And so I often tell students they're nervous about interviewing someone, right? And then your advice was terrific. Like, just find something, because something is common there. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ezekiel Watts. I have a question for Sissy first. So you expressed being interested in politics from a young age, and you also have your master's in political science. But do you ever feel discouraged from political action? Is there ever a question of safety or,
Okay.
you know?
So, yes, because my friends right now are in jail in Georgia. Because only for one reason, because we blocked the central street when we were demonstrating. So they tried a lot of bad things to me also, but because I have American citizenship, that really helps me. And also, so my husband paid a bill to take me out from I was not there in the jail, but you know, they tried to put me in the jail in Georgia because I am very anti-occupation, anti-Putin, and anti this pro-Russian government. But I'm not afraid. Actually, I really wanted to experience something new and make a history. So, but yeah, it is that safety when I'm back there. Here, I'm fine. So in America, and I think that American citizenship helps me a lot. And then I think in the future, maybe one day I will become a politician in my country. I don't know when, but maybe one day. So you turn on the TV and you see, oh my God, this gal, I remember she was in the WCC. We'll see, God willing. So thank you.
My second question is, coping with what you've dealt with in life through journalism, this is for both of you, sounds like a total dream, but you get really close to the suffering of others. And I was wondering how you carry the weight of others' suffering through your work without like tuning it down, numbing yourself, or closing yourself off from it. Like, how do you feel that enough to express it?
Great question. I want to answer this the best way possible because I don't want to say I'm all the way numb to bad situations, but I think like through my experiences, I've covered worse things. And so like when you're a journalist and the news organization just tells you to go out, you just go. You don't really ask questions. And so you see a lot of things. Like I remember my freshman year of college, like Sissy said, like, you know, you go to your local paper. I wanted to get hired. So I emailed Miss Rollard Barnes, who is the head of the Washington Informer in DC, which is like the black paper in DC. And I lived in Southeast DC. Southeast DC is like, if you know Southeast DC, people have this bad rep for it, but it's really not that bad. Like I lived in Southeast DC for a majority of my college year. But I used to ride this bus, and on the bus, I used to like talk to these middle schoolers and used to cover like what they had going on and all that kind of stuff, you know, cool stuff. Really made some connections with the people that I used to like, you know, talk to in the community and, you know, like interview for different stories. And I remember my sophomore year, you know, we would keep in touch over socials, of course, you know, because I was in college, things move fast. Somebody came in, one of my professors was, well, one of the professors in the department was a famous photographer, but she photographed people in Southeast DC who had passed. And when she pulled up the PowerPoint, majority of the bus had passed. And I was like, whoa, like I used to cover these kids, you know, shot over gang violence, drive-bys, just, you know, just didn't have an outlet, so they needed help, but they were really good kids, y'all. Like they were just tremendous kids. And so when you deal with stuff like that, you know, you're going to talk about teachers and their mental health. You're like, okay, this is why I need to report this, because these teachers are making a difference for Black individuals that could have been them. And because they didn't have that support, they, you know, 6 feet under, you know. So I wouldn't say I'm numb to covering like hard topics, but like you always have, when you're going into hard situations, you always have to have a purpose when covering it. And so if you have the agenda within yourself to know why you're covering the topic, it's kind of easy to, you know, separate yourself from it. And then when you find another story from it, you just kind of just jump to the next thing. So it's something every day in journalism. So you just kind of have to stay neutral at all times. And I go to therapy, so.
So like, just like a follow-up question, keep swimming is what you're saying, like a shark.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially being a Black woman, you know, like I feel like in the media industry, we cover a lot of things that other people may not want to cover. And you may find stories that a lot of people have never had to experience. And so it's your responsibility to keep telling those stories. Now, when you feel overwhelmed, of course, take a step back. It took me months to report this. I think, you know, I started it, stopped. You know, you take time for yourself. But at the end of the day, like, if you don't tell it, who else will? You know, and like I said, on a national level, you don't really get to report on stuff like this. Like, this would never go in Forbes. You know, like I cover Black people at Forbes, but this would never go in Forbes. And so it's very important that when you get opportunities to really expound on who your community is so that other people don't make assumptions about your community, you take it. And when you do it, you take it and you do it well. You do it well, you do it unbiased. I wasn't biased writing this story. I may have experienced it, but trust and believe, Forbes taught me how to look in databases. They taught me how to follow my tracks because unfortunately, journalism is no longer protected. And so that's another thing when you're reporting on these types of things, like make sure your facts line up because people will sue you quick in a hurry. So I would say like that would be my advice. Hopefully that helped.
Do you want to anything to add about sort of keeping a professional distance?
I think the
Ken?
question was for.
What,
but
you have a lot of-
I'm very emotional person. When I listen somebody's story, I try to be non-biased, but it's very hard for me because I get, you know, when I listen some sensitive stories, my tears start coming out. So it is very hard for me. But being a journalist, you have to be very focused on, you know, doing the right thing and not being biased. So not, which is hard.
We're going to take one more question here and then we'll have to wrap up officially, but if I may, I encourage people to stay around and talk to you at the table if that works for both of you. Okay.
Okay. Hi, my name is Daphne. This is for Asia, talking about Mississippi and going down there and everything.
Yeah.
I've been a Westchester resident my whole life, and I'm really interested in studying where I've lived, Westchester, Putnam County that's above us, and Dutchess County that's above that.
Okay.
There's still pockets of pretty severe racism and classism in these counties if you know where to look. And that's something I'm really interested in studying and I've been observing since I've lived here. And I know you mentioned when you went to Mississippi, you talked about how the plantations where they were still affected everything to this day. Would you say that it is based on counties or it's just the overall area? It's the overall state? Are there certain places where it gets severely bad, or would you say that the poverty really just like stays around there? I guess I just want to know a little more about that.
Yeah, of course. So y'all know Mississippi. Y'all know what they known for. You know, they just don't have a good pass with African Americans. They just don't. And I think that the number one, this whole state poverty level is below America's poverty level. But particularly when you get in the Mississippi Delta is where it is terrible. Like that's the no running water, no like clothes. They barely have a McDonald's like 10, 15 miles, you know. And McDonald's like to put, you know, fast food restaurants in low poverty areas so they want everybody to buy it. If you don't have a McDonald's, you know what I'm saying? Like you're really in poverty. So I think it's a statewide thing, but also when you start getting near the Mississippi Delta is when it gets worse, I would say. So yeah, what was the rest of your question?
It was just kind of like can you elaborate a little more?
Yeah, Mississippi Delta is definitely worse than when you go to like Jackson, which is like their main city. There you'll find a little bit more diversity in careers for African Americans, but as you go to the Delta, you're not really going to find them. And I would say that slavery does not only does it, let me just make this clear, it impacts the whole nation and how it runs. But in this state particularly, they are still Confederate based, which is terrible. And so the economy just never recovered after the abolishment of slavery. And so these people are really reaping the consequences of slave masters and people who decided to enslave African Americans. And now the kids are barely graduating from high school because of it. And so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, you know, it's a ripple effect. And so slavery was the ripple effect for this particular state, you know, in the worst way possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. I have to say that one of the best ways to build up your knowledge and your empathy is to be a journalist, right? Because you get paid essentially to learn about things and people. So it's so exciting to see you guys bring your passion and your experiences. Like I said, we're going to wrap it up officially, but I'm going to encourage students to stick around and talk to you if they would like, right? So as we wrap it up, I just want to tell you that so before we wrap up today, I just want to point out that, well, first of all, let's thank Asia and Sissy very much. So meaningful to have you both here. We'd like to let you know about another great upcoming event that we have here from our department. It's our annual Meet the Pros event. It's going to feature guest speaker Skip Dillard. He is the brand manager of 94.7 The Block and a former station manager for MS Communications, home of WBLS, WLIB, and Hot 97. So this event is going to take place on Thursday, April 23rd from 4 to 6 in the Student Tech Lounge, Tech 137. So if you're interested in finding out what it's really like to work in communications and media, from radio and podcasting to corporate communications and digital storytelling, we will see you there. And we also want to point out to you that our department has a new Com Central Multimedia Center, and it's up and running on the second floor of AAB. Please drop by anytime to check it out, and be sure to take communications, journalism, and media arts courses as you progress here at WCC. And on your way out, there is a couple handouts. One is to give you more information about the Pulitzer Center. There's QR codes, and then another one is a flyer with a QR code to fill out a post-event survey that would be incredibly helpful. If you could do that for us, we'd appreciate it. All right. Thank you all very much. Stick around if you like. Thanks so much for coming. Oh, Luis. Oh, I'm sorry. Our social media guru wants to take a picture. Oh, wait. We have another question from Yonkers.
Hi, Eric. Thank you. So this is very good. Just one comment. Thank you so much for the speakers here. So the class here is a COM 109 speech communications class. So I know, I would say the people in Valhalla, on the Valhalla campus, the students who are watching, raise your hand if you've taken COM 109 or are taking it now. Okay.
Yeah.
And raise your hand if you've worked on or working toward a final project for one of your classes for comm or journalism.
I'm sorry, Julio. Could you repeat a little bit of that? We got a little.
Sure.
I can't hear you so well. I'm sorry. I see you.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I have control over the mic volume, but Venus support can raise me somehow. In any event, I'm just simply commenting that if anyone is taking a project for a persuasive presentation for Common 9 or any project in any of your classes, just consider if you want to go further, apply to the Pulitzer program. That could be something that you could work on, depending, and just apply and see if that's something that interests you. A lot of times you think, oh, I don't have a story, but if it's something that you're working on right now, even for class, consider that as perhaps something that you could continue working on through the Pulitzer Center and enjoy the experience just as Asia and Sissy has.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Professor Rodriguez.
It's a one group picture, okay? Can we? Are you?
Anything else from Yonkers, Julio?
No, that's all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming to us virtually. We appreciate it. All right, Luis, our terrific social media guru, is going to take a picture for us, I think, if you don't mind.
Just like their samples. I always look back at it like, yeah, you're pretty. You should go in the Let's get more clothes. Great. Hello. Just get so close and told people back and I'm tall. You're not tall.
I don't know. I think you're tall.
I don't know.
All right, cheese. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, cheese. No one said it. Get to it. All right, now